Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our next edition of the 49er Industry Chat. My name is Noemi Guevara. I'm the Director of Alumni Engagement, and we're very thankful that you are able to join us today. Today, we're very excited for our guest speaker. I will pause as I see some people are coming into the room, and we'll get started. Well, thank you. Today, we're very excited to be chatting with Candice Jacobson, and I'll read a little short bio on her before we get started. Candice Jacobson is a seasoned marketing and communications executive with nearly 20 years of experience shaping iconic brands across industries from Hot Wheels and Barbie to IHOP and DirecTV. A natural storyteller, she specializes in crafting purpose-driven culturally relevant campaigns that leave a lasting impact. Her work spans consumer, corporate, and crisis communications, earning her recognitions in PR Week's Powerless and a 40 Under 40 award. Candice is passionate about building authentic brand narratives that connect with today's audiences. Thank you so much, Candice, for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
So we're very excited to hear about your journey through Cal State Long Beach and where your journalism degree took you. So we'll start off at the beginning. If you could share with us a little bit about your background and your experience through Cal State Long Beach and why you came to Cal State Long Beach.
Yeah, so I was born and raised in Long Beach, so Long Beach for life, born here, went to high school here. I actually played club water polo in high school at Cal State Long Beach. So was introduced to the college at an early age, was on campus at an early age playing water polo. And I just loved the campus and decided to go there. I started as a journalism major, was actually a print journalism major, and I think I mentally changed my degree or what I was focused on about 6 times. I went into business, I went into political science, I wanted to be a Spanish major, communications, and then I loved PR. I got to go to an event and I loved the idea of being in public relations. And I think it was my end of my junior year, I decided to really focus on public relations and communications. So comms was my minor, PR journalism was my major. And I had a great time there. I mean, it's a great school, it's a great campus. I was actually back there last week for JPR Day, and it brought back so many fun memories. The campus looks very different from 18 years ago, but it's awesome to be back, and it was such a fun school.
Wonderful. And I know, journalism is a very tight-knit community, right, in your major. Can you share a little bit about, what your student experience was like? Like, did you join any clubs, any activities? Did you build any relationships with your professors within your major that made your time here more enjoyable?
Yeah, so I was in PRSSA, and I did do a few articles for the 49er, which you reminded me of. I completely forgot that I did that. So it was in a few clubs. I think the PR emphasis at Cal State was a really small, tight-knit community. I'm still friends with people I graduated from then today. And from a professor perspective, Emma Fillingane, I think she's retired. We're friends on Facebook. She likes every single thing I post. But she had a huge impact on me, and I think she's followed me and she's been my cheerleader throughout my whole career. So it was awesome to make really great relationships with a few of my professors and them to see me continue to grow throughout my PR career.
Wonderful. So I think you came in as a freshman. Did you live in
I
the
did.
dorms or were you a commuter?
So I lived with my parents through college. They live in Long Beach, so I guess a commuter. So I lived about, I think, 7 minutes away from the college. So some days I'd ride my bike. But yeah, lived close, lived local, and commuted in.
Wonderful. So you graduate. I know we are talking about how long it took to graduate, and then that you actually studied abroad in the during your
Yeah.
time here. Can you share a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so I think anybody who has the opportunity to study abroad should. It's a huge growth experience. You're in a new country, you know nobody. I didn't know the language very well. I lived in Spain, I lived in Madrid. I got to travel to Italy, I got to go to Ibiza. I did really fun stuff there. But it was, I think the biggest growth for me was finding out that I was an adult on my own in a foreign country. And I think that really helped me grow. But it was an amazing experience. I learned Spanish. I would say my Spanish isn't as great at today as it was 18 years ago, but
Mhm.
got to speak Spanish, got to live in the country, got to really immerse myself in the culture. Um, and I highly recommend anyone that wants to do that should, because it was an unforgettable experience. And I'm still good friends with a lot of the people that I studied abroad with today.
Wonderful. Yeah, it's very important to get a global perspective, right? Especially in your industry, not knowing where you're going to land. And just a reminder to anyone, if you want to ask Candice questions, please put them in the Q&A box today. So you're about to graduate. Can you share with us what was that like? What was that first job, from going from student now to graduating and being in the real working professional world?
Yeah, so gosh, it was so long. Um, I remember graduating and I was a nanny and a lifeguard through college. So I remember graduating and not having a job right away and thinking I was a failure and I wasn't doing anything right. And like now looking back, I had a couple months to really kind of enjoy not having school, not having, it was a nice little transition. But my first job was at a small PR firm in downtown LA, and I had dreams of having a corner office and being a PR girl and running a boardroom. And I learned so much from that job. And then slowly after that, I went into sports PR. So I got to go to the Super Bowl. But I think the best thing about being in the real world, and I always tell everyone to get internships, is you'll learn so much from school, but it's how do you learn corporate etiquette? How do you learn, I mean, even to work in email, to work Teams, to work, this is aging me, but like a fax machine, like those kind of things you
Yeah.
learn to do from a day to day. So I think really learning how to navigate an office is so important. You get there and then you learn the tools that make you successful. But it was scary, it was exciting. I worked in downtown LA and lived in Belmont Shore, so I would take the train in. And I just felt like a independent working gal. And it was fun.
Great. And yeah, you stress how important internships are. Did you have a mentor that you could kind of ask questions while you were, navigating into your professional or during your student time?
Yeah, so I was an intern for the Long Beach Ice Dogs, which was a company or a hockey team here in Long
Mhm.
Beach a while ago. Again, aging myself. But my boss there is now still my mentor. She also a great friend, came to my bachelorette party and comes to my house for dinner with my son these days. We live right around the corner from each other, but always just kind of honing into those people. And she taught me, have internships, make sure you're taking the advantage of speaking to executive leaders. Never be scared to reach out to anybody. I mean, one of the things that I did to get my second job, which I stayed for 5 years, was there was someone that came to speak at Cal State Long Beach, and I reached out to him and said, "Hey, I was really inspired by what you said." And I reached out to him and I ended up getting a job a month later. So I would say don't ever be scared to reach out to anyone. Anyone who ever reaches out to me on LinkedIn, I know how scary that can be. I make time for them because it's so important to coach and teach. And I think that don't ever be afraid to reach out to anybody.
Wonderful. And that's what I love about our Long Beach State alums, right? That they're so open to helping the students and next generation behind us. And it's just reach out and say, hey, I want an informal interview, right? Like, how did you do where you're at today? How did you get there, right? Um, so you touched about you've been in various industries. Did you have like a specific industry that you wanted to work for? Like you've been in sports, you're now more in the hospitality world. Did you have an idea kind of where you wanted to go?
I think when everyone starts in PR, they want to do that like celebrity, they want to work the
Hollywood.
red carpet. I quickly learned that that was not my vibe. I really wanted to work in sports and I was an athlete my whole life. And so I think getting
Mhm.
to work for a PR agency that had ties to sports. So my work on DirecTV, they actually threw an event at the Super Bowl called the DirecTV Celebrity Beach Bowl. And I did everything from running the event, running the red carpet, to pitching media. Truly learned a lot, but I got to go to the Super Bowl, I think 3 times. And who gets to say that in their career?
Right.
And it was super fun. It was a ton of hard work. I think I was there there was one day I think I slept 2 hours, but looking back at that time in my life, I learned so much. And I think sports was something that was really my first passion when I went to PR. And then I kind of expanded that into the different industries I've gone into.
Wonderful. Um, what would you say is the most challenging part of being in the PR industry right now?
Challenging part. Um, I would say making someone care about your brand. So we do these fun things. Like we recently for IHOP, we have National Pancake Day. You get a free pancake or free stack of pancakes when you come to IHOP. But how do we make a consumer care about that from a brand perspective? So we broke the Guinness World Record for most pancakes served in 8 hours,
Mm.
which was at the Santa Monica Pier, and we got a ton of press. We partnered with Leah and Serena from Love is Blind to really reach that Gen Z audience. But really taking everyday things like that from a brand perspective and then turning it into a reason for a consumer to care or press to care about it. It's challenging, but I think I love that as well because I love that challenge and how am I going to make a consumer care about our brand today?
So for today, what would your advice be of like what skills should our students be practicing learning at this time as they look to venture in, to graduation and maybe join, your industry and be your fellow employees in the next couple of years?
So from just a tactical perspective, if you want to be in PR, I always say start at an agency. I started an agency. You learn everything to do with PR. You learn to pitch, you learn to throw an event, you work the red carpet, you do everything. So I'd say work in an agency is first, or get an agency internship. I think from a like don't be scared. I think I always say lead with confidence and grace. And don't be scared to reach out to people. Don't be scared to say the wrong thing. Don't be scared to fail because the only way you're going to learn is to fail. I failed many times in my career and I'm still here. I'm still standing and it's only going to make you stronger. But I would say make those connections, reach out to those people. If you one day want to be the head of communications for a talent agency at CAA, reach out to that person and see how they got there. So don't be scared to reach out to people and get as many internships as you can because they're so important to kind of navigate what you actually want to do. Do you want to do photography? Do you want to be a writer? Do you want to pitch? Do you want to throw events? What do you like about PR and kind of where do you want to go in your career? I think try everything.
Um, and then so in the PR, like what part of PR do you think you are your strongest skill set? I'm pretty sure you probably know how to do everything right now, but what is your strongest skill set or the one part that you enjoy the most?
I would say I'm a great storyteller. So I think taking an insight, one thing I'm most proud of a brand I worked on in the past. I'm sure you're very familiar with the game Uno. I'm sure you've played it. Everyone can play Uno. It's a universally played game, but that's actually not true. Colorblind people can't play Uno. So we partnered with a company called Color Ad and we created colorblind Uno to make it even more universal. So really like diving into those insights and creating a story. And then seeing that come to life. I think I still send my parents if I got a CNBC story or on the Today Show. They're like, "Oh, did you write that?" And I'm like, "Kind of. I wrote the messaging." And but I think storytelling, gathering insights. I do really like crisis communications. You really have to think around kind of what you're going to say from a brand perspective. And I still do like events and like getting to kind of plan the logistics, but I would say core
Mhm.
to it is really like developing those PR stories, developing why a reporter would care, what reporters are we going to go after, and really kind of it's almost like putting the pieces together of the puzzle of how launch day is going to go, and I really love that.
Oh. Um, I do have a question here. What made your pivot from sports PR to restaurants industry?
So I started in sports, and it was at an agency. I also did PR for a brand called Fresh and Easy Neighborhood Market, if anyone remembers that.
Mm, I
Um,
do.
so went to that. I actually pivoted to Mattel, where I worked for Barbie, Hot Wheels, Fisher Price, Uno, every toy anyone grew up with, and that was such a fun career. Um, and I went to what led me to food was actually a personal decision. So I was living in Long Beach. I wasn't really growing at my current job, and there was an opportunity in Nashville, Tennessee for Carl's Jr. and Hardee's. And I said, food is fun. You get to take risks.
Right.
Why not? Let me do it. It was a huge life move. I left my family, I left my friends. I moved to Nashville. Started this new job. It was so scary. And I always say, do things that scare you because you're going to win in the end. I had such a fun time working at Carl's Jr. and Hardee's. We launched a CBD burger, which I thought was really fun. So we did a lot of cool stuff. But the best part about moving to Nashville is I met my husband. So I really put myself out there. And now I have a son, and his name is Nash. So after
Congratulations.
Nashville, but that was kind of the transition. And I think moving from toys and CPG and sports and all of that to food, it was scary and I didn't know it, but I shifted very quickly. And I think if you know the meat and bones of what you're doing, and that's why, again, I say start an agency. When
Right.
you know how to do the actual job, you just need to learn what's the brand identity, what do they stand for, and then you work, and then obviously the culture and how you work with the people. But it was more of a personal choice to kind of take a leap of faith, and it worked out well for me.
It worked very well. Well, congratulations on your son and taking that leap of faith and finding your space. Um, what are some of the best ways to find opportunities for folks just starting out in the industry? I know you said agencies, but like how do you go about finding an
Yeah,
agency? I know there's so many, I think of Southern
so many.
California, we're such an impacted market, right? There's so many universities competing with us. Like, how do you make yourself stand out too?
I think I was actually at JPR Day last week reviewing some resumes. And what's
Mhm.
your headline? What do you want people to know? Like, who are you and what have you done to stand out? And if you worked at Starbucks or you were a social manager and you took photos and it just says took photos, like change it to curated content to drive more consumers. Like, what is your, like, why would someone want to
Mhm.
hire you for that? And just make it like PR yourself a little bit.
Right.
I think from a finding the agencies, look and see what the major ones are. There's a ton, there's big, there's small, there's Edelman, Weber Shandwick, and don't be scared to reach out. All of them have internship programs. Don't be scared to reach out to the people there. Don't be scared to reach out to PR professionals. I'm connected to so many agencies at this point in my career. I've done it for almost 20 years. So I think
Mhm.
again, like it's making those first impressions, reaching out to people, doing research on your end to see who's kind of doing the big stunts. If you see something, if you're really interested in the Taco Bell hotel, like their agency is Edelman. So maybe you want to go work at Edelman. Our agency is DeVries Global. They're in New York. I think they have some people in LA, but if there's stuff that you've seen that you really like from a press perspective, see what agency did that work and you can reach out.
Wonderful. So I know IHOP is a big brand. So your team, what does your team look like, and what is a typical day look like for you today?
So we are a big little company. I sit within a very large comms team, but from the IHOP perspective, I have one person on my team. And then I have a boss, the chief comms officer, and then a few cross-functional people. I actually work for a company called Dine. So we own IHOP, Applebee's, and Fuzzy's Tacos, which is in Texas mainly. So they just opened their first location in California this week. Um, but typical day. Oh, also from a team perspective, I have agency support. So I have a consumer and corporate PR agency who helps execute, and then I have a crisis agency that helps with all crisis communications. Um, from a day to day, I always say my every day is a new adventure, which is why I love my job. No day is ever the same. I might be in the boardroom planning earnings. I might be planning an event. I might be dealing with a crisis. I might be writing messaging for an executive that's speaking at an event. So no day is ever the same. New things pop up. And I think that's why I kind of love it because it never gets stagnant or boring. It's really fun and exciting, and you're always on your toes, which I love about my job.
Wonderful. And I know prior to the call, we are talking about whether your team is remote or not, and you're sharing that you are somewhat remote.
So we're hybrid. Yeah. So we come in
Yeah,
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays, and work from home Mondays and Fridays.
wonderful. I would say, like, what is one of the most rewarding things about your job at this time?
I think seeing our brand out there and people talking about it, whether it be on social or in the press, and doing positive things, getting to tell people like we got this many impressions or this many reporters wrote about this, um, and doing really cool stuff. We do really fun, cool stuff, and I personally think my job is fun. But I think the most rewarding thing is that, and then I also work on a lot of our corporate social responsibilities. So we partner with Feeding America. And we recently, and I don't have the exact number, and I don't think I'm allowed to announce it, but we doubled what we raised last year for them, which is awesome. And we go to the food banks, we pack food boxes. So I think just giving back to our communities and the communities we serve is also just a great opportunity, and it makes you feel good about doing your job and the work that you do.
Wonderful. And thank you so much for doing that. I have seen your IHOP teams at community events, right? And people get very excited. So thank you for doing that. I was going to ask, with has AI impacted your job today? Because I think that's a lot of things that I've read about, protecting jobs, right, in our writing space. Or are you guys embracing AI at this time?
I think we're embracing it. I think, makes mistakes, but like I said, I have one person on my team and I run all communications here at IHOP. So that's PR, external, corporate, internal, crisis, franchisee. Anything that's basically communicated from IHOP goes through me. So that's a lot of work with one person. So we do leverage AI. If we have bullets, we're like, can you turn this into communication? Um, we make heavy edits to it because AI is never right. But if I can say, hey, can you make this sound more fun? Or can you make this sound exciting? Can this tone be a little bit more serious? It can help with that. I think the other thing that I always have it do is spell check for me and make sure there's no grammar edits, which is super helpful. We also use it like we had a really fun brainstorm and we wanted it to come up with fun photos and ideas and content. So we leveraged AI for that. So I think we're embracing it. It scares me a little still, but it's not something that I think is going to take over jobs. I think you still need a human behind the brand that can kind of narrate it and tell the story.
Absolutely. And I think at the university we are embracing it, right? There is a new commission, and I know it's part of um, things we could use with ChatGPT and Copilot is part of the suite of things that our students could use today as well. So
Nice.
that's pretty exciting. Yeah. Um, so I wanted to ask, you've worked so many industries, so many top level companies. Like, has there been a favorite thus far that you embrace? I mean, going from Barbie to IHOP is very different. Um,
It's it's very different. I mean, I love IHOP. It's great. I'm still here and we're doing great
mhm,
things. I would say I hold a very special place in my heart for Mattel. And it's not because of the company, it's because of the boss I had there.
mhm,
She taught me a lot, and she is primarily the reason that I am where I am today. She had a lot of faith in me. Um, we had a small team there, and I ran things as a very junior manager. She put trust in me, and I think learned so much from her, and I was able to step out on my own and do my own thing. But I think that Mattel will always hold a special place in my heart because, and I'm still, like, again, still friends with the people I worked with there.
mhm.
So I think, like, one of the biggest things in PR is it's a very small industry and never make any enemies, but always hold the ones that are close to you close, because I'm still to this day, like, I call her and I'm like, hey, should I do this? What do you think of this? Run ideas off of her. So that will always hold a very special place in my career journey.
Wonderful. And I think you touch upon something, those relationships, those building the networks, that's something that we don't learn right as we sit in the classroom, but that's super important, right, as you navigate your career of, finding those mentors or just those friends that could be your connectors for the future.
Yeah. And I would say, like, I have a number of those that I still go with. My first boss, Todd Brooks and Mark Altieri. Mark Altieri is a beach alumni as well. But the two of them I still talk to. I still talk to my boss, some of my friends from Carl's Jr. and Hardee's, even bosses that have left IHOP, I still talk to. So I'd say keep those people close to you. You're always going to run into the same circles, and who knows, one day they might be calling you up for a job. So just make sure that you network and that you hold on to the people that are the good ones, because they will have your back in the future.
Absolutely. And use LinkedIn, right? The power of social media as well. Like you mentioned, reach out to people on LinkedIn as well. Do
Yeah,
you
for
have
sure.
any advice? I would say, because I think we do a lot of work with our graduating seniors, and some of them, you know, don't have LinkedIn or are really new. Do you have any advice for those that are gonna, be graduating on sprucing up their LinkedIn profiles to, like you said, get noticed and tell their story?
Yeah, I mean, what again, like, what's your LinkedIn? When I look at resumes when I'm hiring, I go straight to their LinkedIn to see what they've
Mm,
done. It's your opportunity. I mean, you are your best advocate, and there's no shame in making yourself look good from a social perspective. So I would say tell people what you've done and the work that you're proud of. If you've gotten awards, like I talked to a lot of the students last week at the JPR day about the Bateman Awards, and they were like, well, we're just honorable mentions. And I was like, that's huge. You are an honorable mention. Put that front and center on your resume. So I think any work you've done and showcase it. And if you've only had a job at Starbucks, like, that's okay. You're just starting out. These are entry level jobs for a reason. I think it shows that you know how to hold a job and you know how to work. So that's also important to show on there.
wonderful. And in regard to recognition, congratulations to you, being PR Week's Power List and 40 under 40. You know, um, how did that feel to earn that recognition?
Awesome and amazing. My boss at Mattel actually got the 40 under 40, and that was the goal that I had, a personal goal. I can tell you how we got it. It's actually a really fun story. So Adam Sandler came into an IHOP, and he was wearing a mask. It was during COVID, or like 2020, 2021. And it got a ton that he didn't get turned away, but there was a 30-minute wait, and the hostess ended up posting it on TikTok and it went viral. that, and the headlines were IHOP turned Adam Sandler away. Um, and he ended up tweeting after that, I thought the all you can eat deal was on milkshakes. And so what we ended up doing very quickly and very fast was we offered buy one, get one free milkshakes the following Monday and free milkshakes in Jersey. And we called it Milkshake Monday. And we donated $50,000 to Comedy Gives Back, which is a charity Adam Sandler supports. He heard about it. His team reached out to us. We ended up bringing milkshakes and pancakes to his set, and he ended up meeting the hostess. So we essentially turned a crisis into a really positive story. It got a ton of press. It's the most press I've ever gotten in my life. Um, Probably took 4 days to execute. It was so fast, but it was truly turning a bad story into a good one. And it was super fun to do and exciting and came
Yeah.
together very quickly.
Wow. Well, congratulations on that. How fun, right? And you did good at the end of the day because you ended up donating to that
Yes,
nonprofit.
yes.
I guess for me, it's like there's so many IHOPs. Like, how do you keep not an eye, but abreast of like any issues that happen with any of your branches because you're nationwide?
We are. I think there's almost 1,700. I don't know the exact number. So we have an amazing field team. So we have a ton of people in the fields. They work with our franchisees. We're 100% or almost 100% franchise company. Our franchisees are amazing. They know the protocol, reach out to me and my team if there's a crisis or an issue. So we're alerted right away, and then we manage on our end. But I would say we have a great team and we have great processes in place across the brand to alert people. I do get
Alert.
texts at 2 a.m. in the morning, which is always fun.
I guess I was asking you a question. Are you like more on the 24 hours 7, right? Because I mean, it's nationwide, could be any time.
I do work 24/7. I'm always on, which is good and bad. I do take time off, but it's definitely something that comes with the job.
Absolutely. So, how do you keep abreast of like current trends and skills in your industry?
So I talk to a lot of people internally. I have agencies that I learn from. I always challenge them. How are people measuring comms? How are they measuring PR these days? I read a lot. I would say I would challenge everyone. Reading is a loss too. Like, but I read the news. I read my industry news a lot, like what's going on in the food sector, what are other brands doing that I'm hearing about? Maybe Kraft Heinz did something that was really cool, or Pepsi, what did they do? And how can we take learnings from that? Chili's just did a really fun activation. I think it was called the Quality Burger or the Quality Pounder, and kind of took a jab at McDonald's. So how can we take learnings from that? So I read a lot. I talk to people. I continue to network. Um, as high as I get, I continue to learn. I have so much to learn still. And I think leveraging sources that are outside of my network to continue to talk to people and network.
Wonderful. So I know we're up against time here. So I guess my last question, unless you have anything else you'd like to share, what advice do you have for students and our grads, right, as or our alumni, if they're looking to pivot into the PR field or looking to they're just graduating, what advice do you have for them?
I would say get an internship in the PR industry to see if you like it, or an entry level job. Talk to as many people and learn as much as you can. Ask so many questions. No question is the wrong question. And reach out to people that I always was like, I want to be that person one day. How can I be her? And I would reach out to people. And so I think don't be afraid to make connections through LinkedIn or at events or approach people, because 9 times out of 10, they're going to make the time for you. I know I will make time for anybody that reaches out to me. Um, so I would say network and ask questions and just get your hands dirty and do the job.
Wonderful. And I think before we go, last question, like, what's next for you? What would you like to go from here?
What's
Other than being
next?
a mom.
I know. I feel like I'm in my mom era right now. I am really excited about what's going on at IHOP. We are doing a lot. There's a new president. We have a new team. There's just some fun stuff going on here. So I think making IHOP a relevant brand for today is one of the challenges I have for myself. And I think long term, I want to be a chief comms officer. I want to be the head of the communications team. And I have lofty goals for myself, and I want to be that girl that is at the top.
Wonderful. Well, you're well on your way there, Candice. And we're very
Thank you.
excited to see where you go. Um, I think that's all. And then I think before we go, I know we talked a little bit about LinkedIn. If anyone is interested in connecting with you, are you okay if they reach out
Of course.
um, on LinkedIn
Of
and maybe
course.
put a
Yes.
comment? I saw your industry chat or something like that. I'm a
Yeah. Reach
fellow
out.
alum.
Let me know.
Yeah, wonderful. Um, well, thank you. I think we'll have an ending slide here. Uh, Thank you everyone for joining us today. If you want to reach out to Candice, please reach out to her on LinkedIn. If you please visit our website at cscob.edu/alumni to learn about our future chats or any events that are coming up. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Bye.